Morning, Frank. So, today I want to talk a little bit about money. So, I learned a couple interesting things about money. Well, interesting's kind of downplaying it. I've learned a couple crazy things about money. I don't know if most people know this or not, but the dollar bill at one point used to be associated with, it was tied to gold. Now it's not. And because it's not tied to gold, we can print as much as we want, which is kind of scary. But the thing about that is of all the money in the US, only 3% of it, roughly 3% of it is actually dollar bills and coins. The other 97% is created through another means. And which is insane when you find out that 97% of our money doesn't actually exist in the form of dollar bills or coins. It's just theoretical. It's in a computer. So who makes that 97% of money that exists in the economy? Private banks. And you think like how are private banks making this much money? It's through debt. It's through issuing debt. So when we say that we're a debt-based economy, yeah, 97% of our economy is in the form of debt. Important thing to understand is that debt is practically money. It's money in the future, right? So let's say you owe a lender $100,000. Well, you haven't paid back. Let's say you haven't paid back the 100,000. You've paid only $20,000, right? You still have 80,000 plus interest to pay back to the lender. But the lender can essentially leverage that they have $100,000 plus interest already, even though they don't actually own it. And so I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson, and specifically his Bible lecture series. And one part of his lecture that I thought was just fascinating was talking about Adam and Eve in the original sin, how Eve took of the apple and convinced Adam to take of the apple as well. And this is a representation of humanity gaining consciousness. Because in the Bible, when Adam and Eve took of the apple, they recognized that they were naked, right? Because they were naked, they were always naked before, but after they took of the apple, they gained consciousness in a sense and became self-aware or self-conscious. And so this is a representation of humans recognizing their vulnerability, that they can be harmed in the future. So there were a number of things that Jordan Peterson talked about that just blew me away. And one of those things was how humans gain the ability to see the future. Meaning animals, in contrast to humans, don't pretend that there is a future. They don't work, they don't sacrifice, right? In the Bible, there's sacrifices. They burn like a lamb or like some wheat, right? Food, and they're burning, and it's a representation of how humans recognize that if we sacrifice something valuable today, we can gain something even better in the future. Animals don't do this. And the reason why humans can do this is because we can see the future. We can see the future coming, and we have to prepare today in order for the future tomorrow to be brighter. And so when Adam and Eve took of the apple, they gained consciousness and they became self-aware that they were naked, that they were vulnerable, that there were things out there that were going to eat them or kill them. And so the ability for us to see the future is the reason why we can have money. And not only just money, I can say to someone, hey, you're going to owe me this money. I'm going to give you something valuable right now, and you're going to owe me money in the future, which is 97% of our economy is built upon that. The power of a debt-based economy is that it allows us to build our economy off of promises and trust. Instead of being bogged down by what we have right now, by the actual dollars that exist in the world, we can create more theoretical dollars in order to prop up the economy. Not prop up the economy, to stoke the economy and to make it grow faster than it can if we were just limited by having to pay out of pocket for everything, every big expense. If every home buyer had to pay cold hard cash in full, there would be a lot less houses being sold. Money is just so freaking weird. it's just so weird that we're just built. This is why the bubble. This is why we crashed in 2008, right? It's because so many people were like, "Hey, all this money doesn't really exist," right? It's like the Great Depression, when the majority of home buyers are using debt in order to buy a house. That allows growth to happen much faster. And the ability for us to take out a loan, for someone to even trust us to pay them back, is because we can see the future. There's a lot more to money that I think is crazy, and I've learned, but I think that's probably the highest level stuff that I've learned and that I just thought was just insane. So I will see you on Thursday, Frank. Until then.